You might not have my name, but you have my blood. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you die.
You don't want to wake the dragon, do you?
Power resides where men believe it resides.
The things I do for love. You know, the boy lives, he'll be a cripple.
I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
There is only one God, and his name is death.
And there is only one thing we say to death. Not today.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? It's Monday night. We've done 2 in a row, so the gods are in our favor. Because, you know, after the last couple of weeks, it's been hard for me to keep the consistency, but we're here. We're doing it. Oh, feels good. We're going to have a week off next week, remember, guys? So you can put your feet up. You can go and do some other stuff on a Monday night. We have a week off, but then we're going to be back for 10 weeks straight in a row for season 2. Christina Payne in the chat already saying hello, Ryan and everyone. Your Grand Maester awaits. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Your seat is warmed as your request. Strange request. But yeah, Jeremy gets us to put his council seat in the oven for like 10 minutes just before he gets in. It's weird. Tell Talks is in the chat. Let's go, bro. I can't wait to watch that movie you're talking about with Andrew Garfield. It comes out when? Like November or something, you said? Yeah, I've seen your reviews today. Well done. Even the Luau mentioned seeing you at the premiere, so awesome stuff seeing you do all your stuff. Love it. Thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Guys, it's going to be an easy one tonight. You're not going to have to listen to me very much, to be honest. We are going to be listening to laws and histories of Game of Thrones for season 1. It's a video on YouTube. I'm hoping I can just play the video. It's an hour long, so, you know, get comfy, make a cup of tea, make a hot drink, get some snacks. And we're gonna watch it. Charles is gonna watch along with us. He is backstage. We'll bring him on in just a second. He's not feeling the best though, so this is quite an easy live for him really, because he doesn't have to give much input. Although we will pause the video if we can after every little segment. It's very fun. It's very interesting, especially if you haven't seen these. These were included on the bonus features on the Blu-ray of season 1, and yeah, there are also videos on YouTube. Corey is in the chat, our giveaway winner for the season 1 giveaway. Congratulations again, Corey, and thank you for being in the chat. Really, really appreciate you being here tonight. Let's do this, shall we? Guys, let's welcome on our hand of the streams, Charles from Popham, Missouri. How you doing, my friend?
What is up? What is up, everybody?
Tell says the movie that I'm talking about, New Year's Day, it's out in the UK. It's out in the US, though. Oh, okay. Okay, so if it's out in the US, I could probably get a hold of it somehow.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
What movie is that?
Something They Live. It's Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good movie. As far as Tell says, it was good. He said he had to wipe away his tears in his seat before he got out at the end of the movie, so should be a good one. Should be a good one. We live in time.
Okay.
We live in time. Charles, we thank you for being here this evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to subject you to sit at the council meeting for the next hour and a half while we watch a video on YouTube. But my intentions for these videos is for it to just put a nice little bow on season 1, and for yourself, this will explain and give you a little bit more back details as to what's going on behind things that we see in the main storyline. It's interesting, and the cool thing about it is it's narrated by the people from the show. So you're going to hear, you know, Bran and Robert and people like that. So it's very good. It kind of pulls you in because you know those voices already and those characters, and you don't have to listen to me doing it. So,
awesome.
But yeah, let's just do it, shall we? Because it is on for an hour, so we will just start it.
Yep.
Let's go. Oh, yeah, you already pulled it up because you've got the power in here. Awesome. Let's go, guys. Children of the Forest, The First Men in the Andals by Bran Stark.
In the dawn age of Westeros, before the coming of man and the raising of castles and cities, there were only the children of the forest. Little is known of them now, but it is said they were small in stature, dark and beautiful, and no taller than children when grown to manhood. They lived in the depths of the forests and hidden villages, crannogs and caves. They hunted with weirwood bows and armed themselves with blades of obsidian. Their wise men were called Green Seers and were
What do you think of
possessed
the
of
animation
powerful
style?
magic.
Pretty good.
They worshipped
Pretty good.
nameless,
Almost like
faceless
a-
gods of the forest, stream, and stone. According to legend, it was they who carved faces in the great white trunks of the majestic weirwoods.
Guys, if
Their
I get
deep-cut
kicked off
eyes
YouTube, I
red
will be
with
back.
sap and
Oh,
ever
I
watchful.
don't know if this will work.
12,000
Looks like Santa
years ago,
Claus.
the first men came from the eastern continent, crossing a land bridge called the Arm of Dawn. Riding their great horses and wielding weapons of bronze, they cut down the children's forests and weirwoods. A terrible war raged between the children and the first men that lasted for centuries. At long last, the two races sought an end to the years of horror and bloodshed. They met on a small isle in the centre of a great lake called the God's Eye. It was there they forged the pact. The first men would be granted dominion over the coastland, the mountains, the high plains and the bogs, but the deep forest would forever belong to the children, and no weirwood tree would ever again fall to man's axe. To seal the pact before the gods, the children carved a face in every weirwood tree on the island.
So this will
Which
fill
came
in
to
some
be
stuff for
known
you from
as
House
the
of the
Isle
Dragon
of
that you've
Faces.
seen with the faces.
But
in
the
trees.
pact could not withstand the coming of the Andals, a race of tall, fair-haired warriors. They attacked with fire and weapons of steel, slaughtering the children of the forest wherever they could find them, burning out their weirwood groves, hacking away at the faces of the old gods, and spreading their own religion through the land. Centuries of war followed, and the Andals conquered every kingdom in Westeros save one, the North. The Kings
The
of
North was
Winter were
independent.
able to withstand the Andal invasion, and descendants of the first men dwell there to this day and continue to worship the old gods. As for the children of the forest, those who survived the slaughter were said to have fled far north and have not been seen again. Most assume they're long dead, and some don't believe they ever existed. They live on only through song and legend, and in the faces of the weirwood trees.
So yeah,
All right.
the Children of the Forest, Charles. Very interesting storyline. What I love about these whole stories and why I preach about this show so much is because it gives you so much backstory and detail that you wouldn't usually get in, say, a Marvel show or a movie like that. You just get the script and the main story, and that's it. They don't dive deep into it. Like, I don't even think we hear much about Children of the Forest in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, to you, that's kind of like a, who are they? What are they? You know what I mean? They are a big part with Bran, and it's probably a reason why Bran talks about them and narrates the story. But yeah, I think they're a very good backstory to the whole thing. So I hope you're enjoying them.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's carry on. Anything you want to add about the Children of the Forest?
No.
Awesome. Corey says the God's Eye is a very famous place, lol, and he loves the Children of the Forest.
Nice. The Age of Heroes.
When Aegon the Conqueror invaded Westeros, he had 7 kingdoms to contend with. The Kingdom of the North, the Kingdom of the Mountain and the Vale, the Iron Islands, the Kingdom of the Rock, the Kingdom of the Reach, the Stormlands, and Dawn. These regions had been established by the first men thousands of years before, in the Age of Heroes. One hero of this fabled age was Bran the Builder. Bran raised the wall and built the stronghold of Winterfell, establishing House Stark and reigning as the first king in the north.
Oh no, ask
Other
Chad, if you could live
legends
anywhere
tell
in
of the Grey
Westeros,
King
where would you
and
live?
the Iron Islands. Grey King took a mermaid to wife
Oh, I don't
and
know.
defeated Naga, the
North.
first sea
I
dragon.
like cold.
House Greyjoy of Pike, the current rulers of the region, claim to descend from him. House Casterly ruled the gold-rich Westerlands from their mighty seat of Casterly Rock. But their lands and power were swindled from them by the legendary trickster, Lan the Clever.
There we go.
The noble house of Lannister is said to have descended from him.
Harrenhal, says
The
Jeremy.
virgin fertile lands of the Reach were first ruled by House
The
Gardner.
North, the
Its
Corey.
founder, known as
Okay.
Garth Greenhand, wore a crown of flowers and vines. He ruled from Highgarden as the first king of the Reach and was said to have made the land bloom. Many
Thank you.
noble
Hey, Katie.
houses trace their bloodlines back to him, including the current lords of Highgarden, House Tyrrell. In the Stormlands, according to ballads of the age, a warrior named Durin fell in love with Elenai, whose father was god of the sea and mother was
Ooh,
goddess
Elenai.
of the wind. She gave her maidenhead to him, committing herself to a mortal life. Enraged, her parents called upon the winds and waters, destroying Darren's Bayside Keep and wiping out his wedding guests. Darren declared war on the gods and rebuilt his keep, which was also destroyed. 4 more castles he
Golden Wolf,
raised,
Mitchie is
each
going to want a
stronger
beachfront
than the
property.
last, all fell to the power of the gods. But Darren's 7th
Appreciate you,
castle,
Katie. Thank
Storm's
you.
End, withstood the gods' rage. Darren became known as Darren Godsgrief.
Stay, Katie, and enjoy and
And
listen to the
first
histories of
Storm
lore
King.
of Game of Thrones. It might get you into the show.
There are countless other tales from the Age of Heroes, too many to count. These histories
Way too
weren't
many.
recorded in a book, but passed down from generation to generation through story and song.
And from Milky
And
to
while
you.
some of them may be dismissed as fairy tales, every one of the 7 kingdoms is defined by them.
Indeed it is. Now we've got Valeria and the Dragons by Viserys Targaryen.
Finally, some dragons. Let's go.
Let's go.
East of Westeros lies the Smoking Sea, where no ship dares sail. There are those who swear it to be demon-haunted.
And this is
who's to say
Viserys,
they're
the one that
wrong?
got the Golden Crown.
For it was there, thousands of years ago, that a cataclysmic event occurred, destroying one of the great civilizations in history. The precise details of their origins are lost to us, but it is said the Valyrians were once a modest community of shepherds, tending their flocks on a small peninsula of the great eastern continent. One fateful day, in a volcanic area known as the 14 Fires, they made a shattering discovery. Dragons.
Dragons.
They were monstrous, scaled creatures with massive wings, sharp claws, and fiery breath. They were also said to have a deep-rooted connection to magic.
Careful,
In time,
Viserys, you're getting
the
me a little bit
Valyrians
hot
were
in the
able
collar
to
here.
tame the beasts. Harnessing their
Sure,
immense
talking
power,
them
they established a
dragon stuff, isn't
city
he?
of wonder, unlike any before or since. They became skilled at sorcery and metallurgy, creating uncommon weapons
love,
of
Katie. Thanks for stopping in.
spell-forged steel.
Thanks for
Wielding these weapons astride their dragons, the Valyrians conquered the surrounding lands and slowly expanded west. At the time, the Giscari Empire dominated much of the great eastern continent and tried to stop Valyria's expansion. The Giscari legions attacked the Valyrians 5 times, but could never defeat them.
Never defeated.
Finally, the
5
Valyrians
times.
marched on their capital, Old Gis, and obliterated it, turning its streets and buildings to ash with dragon flame, and wiping the Giscari people and their culture off the face of the earth. The Freehold of Valyria, as it came to be known, became
Looks
the most
beautiful.
advanced civilization in the known world, with its own language, gods, and
What
culture.
was that?
The Valyrians'
The old
reach
Valyria.
extended far and wide, covering most of the continent. Great cities were built and roadways paved, all of which led back to Valyria. The Freehold would prosper for nearly 5,000 years.
Oh,
But it was not to
can't
last.
wait to see that on TV one day.
An event that became known only as the Doom laid waste to the Valyrians, their capital city, and its surrounding lands. The peninsula itself was shattered, becoming what is now the Smoking Sea. Every dragon was thought to be lost, as were the Valyrian spells, knowledge, and recorded history. Thus, the mighty empire collapsed. What caused this cataclysm? No one knows for certain. Some say it was a volcanic eruption.
Hey,
Others
Kenneth
say
Bird,
the
welcome, my
Valyrians'
friend.
own sorcery got the
Hey,
better
Ken.
of them. In any event, the Doom's devastation of the Valyrian people was total, with the exception of a small rocky island in the narrow sea. Dragonstone. For it was there that the Targaryens, the last of old Valyria, dwelled.
Dragonstone.
They would lie in wait for another 100 years before unleashing the fury of the dragon on another continent, Westeros.
The History of the Night's Watch by Lord Commander
Night
Jorah
gathers,
Mormont.
and now my watch begins. It shall not
What a
end
voice, what a voice.
until my
Just
death. I shall
Listen.
take no wife, hold no lands, father
I'm
no
turning my
children.
headphones up.
I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night
And
and
all
all
nights
the
to
nights
come.
to come.
I could fall asleep to these stories. I know, Corey,
Tales of a
true.
winter
I have
that
many
lasted
times.
a generation, and of a vast and terrible darkness that fell across the land. It came to be known as the Long Night. In the midst of this darkness, the White Walkers emerged from the far north with
the
their
White
armies
Walkers.
of the dead. They waged war against the living, laying waste to villages and holdfasts, leaving terror and destruction in their wake. After years of brutal conflict and unbearable loss, an alliance of the First Men and the Children of the Forest managed to drive the Walkers and their minions back into the frigid northern wastelands from whence they came.
Minions.
To prevent another invasion, the First Men erected the Wall.
The
a massive
Wall.
fortification,
The Wall.
700 feet in height,
You build it, they
stretching
will
from the
come.
Frostfang Mountains in the west to the Bay of Seals in the east. It was a structure unlike any ever built. Indeed, some maintain it could only have been completed
Why don't we just
with
go
the
around
aid
the
of
wall? My
giants,
question.
or using
Well,
the
you could.
powerful magic of the ancient children of the forest. Men were required to guard and maintain it, and thus the Night's Watch was born. A sworn brotherhood, tasked with defending the realms of men against the dark forces that lay beyond. Upon taking his vows, a brother of the Night's Watch serves for life. It is a life of hardship and great sacrifice, so the oath must not be taken lightly.
No.
The punishment for desertion
Is death.
The Night's Watch is divided into three vital branches: the Rangers, the Builders, and the Stewards. While all Black Brothers are expected to take up steel,
What would you
should
want to
the
be?
need arise,
Ranger
the
Steward.
Rangers are the true warriors of the Watch. Centuries
Or a
come
builder.
and gone, and although the White Walkers have yet to return,
I'd be
another
a
threat
steward.
has emerged. Barbarian tribes known as wildlings. The Rangers are charged with defending the realm against these lawless savages. The Builders are carpenters, masons, miners, and woodsmen, tasked with maintaining the wall, as well as its various keeps, towers, and structures, which have fallen into disrepair over the years. The Stewards serve as cooks, butchers, and hunters. They tend to the horses and messenger ravens, sew clothing, gather firewood, and bring supplies up from the south. The Night's Watch is a diverse group. Proud volunteers from noble
Love the
houses
animations.
stand
It's so
side by
good.
side. Petty thieves conscripted from dungeons. Class distinctions are left behind, as are past misdeeds. A man gets what he earns on the wall. And even the lowliest gutter snipe can rise up in rank if he proves himself worthy. For thousands of years, the brothers of the Night's Watch have stood their lonely vigil. As the seasons changed, as brutal wars raged in the south, as dynasties rose and fell, the Night's Watch endured. We are the swords in the darkness, We are the watchers on the wall. We are the shields that guard the realms of men.
So
Charles,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I wanted to just ask you, out of the three main stories that we have in this show currently, the North, the Battle for the Throne down in King's Landing, and Daenerys over on the other side of the sea, how do you rank those three stories in your excitement as to what's to come?
It's hard to rank them.
Okay, that's fine.
I would say the North for me would be 3.
Okay.
The King would be 2, and Daenerys would be 1.
Interesting.
I'm really interested to see what happens there.
Okay, I'm going to ask you that question on every Lore and History live stream that we do, and I'm going to be interested to see if the three change throughout the story.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, because for me, maybe I'm biased because I've seen this show so many times, but for me, it goes at the end of season 1. I want to know more about the North. I want to know more about King's Landing, and then Daenerys. I'm not really bothered about in the first season. As you've seen with my breakdowns, I'm all like Aquaman and all this kind of stuff and playing around with it. So yeah.
Okay.
Would you have answered that way if she didn't come out with the fire with the dragons?
Probably not. Okay. I think if it would have ended different, I think the North would still be 3 for me.
Okay.
To me, we really haven't explored that much, but there's so much more to open up there. That I think Daenerys would be 2 and the King would be 1 if she didn't do the dragon fire thing.
Okay, interesting.
Still up there, but the dragons just add so much more to the story for me, I think.
So the dragons are a bigger aspect for you than, say, the White Walkers. You get introduced to the White Walkers in the first episode and dragons in the last.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I think so.
Yeah, I know. I it's not wrong. Jeremy agrees with all of that. Okay, I like it. I like this conversation, guys. And this is what I want to do with guys in the chat. I don't want to just be here talking. I want you guys to interact and have conversations amongst yourselves in the chat. Ask each other questions about the show and about your favorite characters. No topic is off topic in the chat. All we ask is that you don't spoil anything for Charles in the chat. So like, what do you think when this person killed this person? Of course, that's a spoiler, but you can ask people their favorite characters. You can ask people their favorite seasons. You can do all that kind of cool stuff. So I want to thank YouTube because it looks like we're still online. So I think
we're still good. Yeah, I got to play it on my phone just to make sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. We should be all right to do this. So let's continue.
I think going back to your last question, Rangers, everything like that. Mm-hmm. I think my fighting aspect would be Ranger, my fighting mentality.
Yeah.
Protect. But then I think at the same time, my builder would be like, okay, we got to fix this. So it's kind of a half and half for me.
Yeah, I could never see you being a steward. I feel like you would always be wanting to escape to help people out that need the help out north or down south. You wouldn't be wanting to sit at home and twiddle your thumbs. You're an action kind of guy, so
I can't do that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we won't be seeing very much of each other in the north. And one thing I wanted to add as well, they didn't mention in this little thing in Lore and History because it wasn't fact yet, but Ryan Condal, the showrunner for House of the Dragon, and George R.R. Martin came together and they added extra bits to this lore of Game of Thrones, where they said 1 in 7 of the Stark men would be put to the Night's Watch at the very beginning of time. So it was an honourable thing and a connection between the House Stark and the North. Obviously, that isn't mentioned in this. This is mentioned how you can be a raper, a stealer, or just anyone of crime gets sent there.
Class means nothing.
Yeah. It lost its what's the word I'm looking for? Esteem and specialness about it, because the Starks would go and honour their family name and the North connection. So I like that they did that, but that obviously isn't in this because this was out before that.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Let's see. The History of the Night's Watch.
By Mason Lewis.
Jeremy. Here's a different maester. Be careful.
Joining the Night's Watch or taking the Black is a singular honour for any Northerner.
We need a season 1 character tier list.
For it was in the north, some 8,000 years ago, that the first man drove back the White Walkers, erected the wall, and established the sworn brotherhood that would guard the realm and its people from the dangers beyond. Regrettably, the Night's Watch no longer commands the widespread respect and admiration it once did.
No.
While House Stark and other houses in the northern regions continue to recognize its vital importance to the safety and stability of the realm, this view is not shared by the powerful houses of the southern kingdoms or their subjects. Most regard the Watch as a misguided, obsolete order made up of useless outcasts. Admittedly, the current Night's Watch is a shadow of its former glory. Their numbers have dwindled to less than 1,000. Of the 19 castles along the wall, only 3 are functional: the Shadow Tower, Castle Black, and Eastwatch by the Sea. And the Watch's mandate of adding to the wall has been abandoned entirely. There are barely enough resources to maintain it.
And that's why Yoren is down
Recruiting
south now.
officers, known as Wandering Crows, scour the dungeons and slums of the realm in hope of finding men to fill the ranks. While there is still the occasional highborn volunteer, the newest recruits are almost entirely made up of lowly criminals, thieves, rapists, and murderers, sentenced to the wall as punishment for their crimes. The decline of this once fabled order is troubling, as the danger it guards against is all too real. While the White Walkers haven't been seen or heard from in ages, and may very well be the stuff of myth, barbarian tribes that dwell beyond the wall, known as wildlings, have been a menace to the North and its people for generations. At certain points in history, the disparate wildling tribes have united behind a single leader, a king beyond the wall, and attempted large-scale attacks against the realm. But thanks to the resourceful and courageous men of the Night's Watch, these so-called kings were sadly defeated. While many have lost faith in the Night's Watch, the people of the North are steadfast in their belief that the Black Brothers will answer the call of duty. But with winter coming, diminished numbers and a lack of widespread support, will they be ready?
Who knows? You want to pause it there, Charles, a second?
Long ago in the wintry north.
So Jeremy puts out a good thing here in the chat. It would also be fun to ask Charles to make a series ending predictions and seal them in envelopes to revisit in later seasons. Write the question on an envelope and seal the answer inside. Yeah, that's a very interesting. I like that. I see that on TV shows when they have guests and stuff on regularly. They do the guessing. That's a really cool idea. Yeah, Jeremy, maybe if you want to be part of this, or everyone in the chat, if you want to be part of this, if you think of some questions that would be spoiler-free questions that we could ask Charles specifically per season, and yeah, we could see what he predicts for the end of that season. That's an interesting one. It's very interesting. What do you think to that one, Charles?
Yeah, I do like that question. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great idea. Great idea.
Cool. Let's carry on.
All right. Here we go.
An army of demons emerged from beneath the icy ground and spread darkness and despair across the land. Astride their monstrous spiders, flanked by giants, they wreaked havoc on the innocent, slaughtering thousands. All hope was lost until the fearless warriors of the first Night's Watch drove them back into the wintry mountains and built a magic wall to keep them from ever invading again. These stalwart brothers in black continue to protect us even to this day from the evils that lurk in the shadows. An absurd lie, a fairy tale spun by many a wet nurse in the north. To be sure, a giant wall does exist. The triumph of engineering, perhaps, but not of magic. As for the Night's Watch, there may have been a time centuries ago when there was prestige and honor in the miserable monastic life of a Black Brother. But now, the Wall has become a glorified penal colony, full of outcasts, criminals, and assorted ne'er-do-wells. Today, a typical man of the Night's Watch most likely started out a lowly beggar, or a rapist, or a village idiot. As for the few high-born watchmen, they either fought on the losing side of a war, or were disowned by their parents for one reason or another. Those who persist in defending the Night's Watch will claim the Seven Kingdoms need protection from the wildling tribes of the far north. But there's little to fear from those primitives. They're a nuisance, but not sophisticated or powerful enough to be a significant threat to the realm. And any talk of White Walkers returning with their armies of the dead and their giant spiders and their snarks is just that. Talk.
In the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros, the dominant religion is the faith of the Seven, first brought to its shores by the Andals some 6,000 years ago.
But there are some who still keep to the old way, worshipping the faceless gods of the children of the forest and the first men. The old gods are countless, nameless spirits of nature. In ancient times, the children of the forest carved faces in the trunks of the weirwood trees, which became sacred symbols of their faith. In time, the first men adopted the children's gods as their own. Most castles at that time contained a godswood with a weirwood or heart tree at its centre.
Meanwhile, across the narrow sea, a new religion was born in the hills of Andalos. According to legend, the God of Seven revealed itself to the Andals, and the invasion of Westeros followed soon after. The Andals sailed across the sea on ships armed with weapons of steel. Some warriors carved a seven-pointed star into their skin as a symbol of their new faith.
The invaders destroyed most of the weirwoods in the southern lands, slaughtered the children of the forest wherever they could find them, and conquered every kingdom of the first men, save the north.
Heartbreaking.
In time, the faith of the Seven spread like wildfire throughout the land. The Seven is a single deity with 7 aspects, each symbolizing a different area of life, though most people refer to the Seven as separate gods.
The mother is prayed to for mercy and watches over fertility, childbirth, and peace. The father sits in judgment over souls. The warrior is prayed to for protection, valor, and skill in battle. The crone is the symbol of wisdom and foresight. The smith watches over creation and craftsmanship. The maiden symbolizes purity, love, and beauty. Finally, there is the stranger, rarely prayed to, who represents death. The faith is highly organized and deeply influential in Westerosi politics and culture as the official religion of the monarchy. Worshippers gather in temples of the faith called septs. The seat of the faith is the Great Sept of Baelor, which is located in the capital city of King's Landing.
Still, in the north, where descendants of the first men dwell, worship of the old gods continues to this day, and the sacred faces of weirwood trees keep close watch over the faithful.
All right, Bran, get off the tree stuff, damn it. The Field of Fire by Robb Stark.
He sure likes trees, doesn't he?
He does indeed, yeah, he does indeed. And that'll be an ongoing thing, so don't you worry.
Oh, man, the boy sure loves his trees.
The ascension of Aegon Targaryen was confirmed, and the fate of the Seven Kingdoms sealed on the Field of Fire. Kings Loren Lannister of the Rock and Mern Gardner of the Reach stood against Aegon's invasion. They commanded a united force of 600 banners, 5,000 mounted knights, and 50,000 men-at-arms. Aegon's host was vastly outnumbered, and when the army of the two kings charged, the invaders turned heel and ran. But Andal might was no match for Dragonflame. When Aegon unleashed all 3 of his dragons, 4,000 souls were horrendously burned alive on the battlefield, King Mern among them. Realizing all hope was lost, King Loren surrendered. The Starks of Winterfell had no intention of submitting to Targaryen rule.
Never.
They had reigned as kings in the north since the days of the First Men and were determined to resist the Targaryen invaders. Just as the Atlandals thousands of years before, King Torrhen Stark led his army to the Red Fork just east of Riverrun, hoping to succeed where Loren and Mern had failed. But when Torrhen saw the size of Aegon's now mighty host, along with his monstrous dragons, he knew he couldn't subject his followers to the horror of another field of fire. He bent the knee and swore fealty to Aegon, who allowed the Starks to maintain their lordship over the region as Lords Paramount and Wardens of the North.
Which we heard that
Without
story from
question,
Cregan Stark in House of the
Torrhen
Dragon.
Stark saved thousands of lives that day. He was ever after known
as
the king who knelt.
The Field of Fire.
By Viserys Targaryen.
The days of the Andals were numbered.
So this is the same
One
story
by
told from the
one, their
opposite side.
so-called kings were bending the knee or facing
That's
the
what I
wrath
love about
of
it. You hit
Aegon
the Stark
Targaryen.
side and then Targaryen side.
Aegon of Old Valyria. Aegon who was blood of the dragon. After defeating the Iron Men at Harrenhal and slaying the last of the Storm Kings, Aegon and his sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya, set their sights on other prizes. The gold mines of the Rock and the fertile
Looks like
lands
Magneto.
of the Reach. King Loren Lannister of the Rock and King Mern Gardener of the Reach foolishly thought their combined armies could beat back the Targaryen host. They rode forth together, their proud banners flapping in the wind, and faced off against Aegon in a vast golden field of wheat. The two kings commanded a massive force of nearly 60,000, and it appeared the day was theirs, until Aegon unleashed all three of his dragons for the first and only time. Each beast was named after the Valyrian gods of Aegon's forefathers. Visenya rode Vhagar, whose fiery breath could melt armor. Rhaenys rode Meraxes, whose jaws were big enough to swallow a horse whole. Greatest of all was Balerion the Black Dread, with fire dark as night and wings so huge whole towns were covered in shadow when he flew overhead. This magnificent creature was ridden by Aegon himself. 4,000 men were bathed in glorious dragon flame that day, on what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern was among the dead, and House Gardener died with him. His stewards, the Tyrells, surrendered his ancestral stronghold of Highgarden to Aegon, and were appointed Lords Paramount of the Reach and Wardens of the South. When Loren Lannister witnessed Mern's fate, he wisely bent the knee. Aegon spared Loren's life, and the Lannisters were made Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West. After his triumph on the Field of Fire, Aegon's conquest was assured. In a short time, the so-called Seven Kingdoms were melted down in the heat of the dragon's flame and transformed into a single realm. Aegon would forever be known as Aegon the Conqueror.
Aegon the Conqueror.
Corey says, really looking forward to Aegon the Conqueror TV show.
Yeah.
Definitely, bro. It's in production. It could be a couple of years, I guess, to get it right. I'm gonna hazard a guess at 2028, probably towards the end of House of the Dragon. Then we'll go back even furthermore, which is weird, but hey, that's the way they want to do it.
It seems like we're going backwards.
Yeah, because everything going forward was kind of ruined by the writers. So we decided to make TV shows that had storylines that were already finished and that had a conclusive ending, which were okay to be played around with, but still needed to have the significant endings that they have. Which is why I've had many thoughts on season 2 and stuff like that, because butterfly effects do come into account, and one small change at the start of the story can have a huge big change towards the end of that story's life. So it's interesting. Yeah. People might have been hearing some of the things I've been saying in public forums, like the Luau's chat. I made a public comment saying how I believe Rings of Power Season 2 was better than House of the Dragon Season 2, and I'm currently working on a video explaining my reasonings as to why. I also said that the new Deadpool movie was a perfect movie, and I actually really, really enjoy it, and I've watched it a couple of times. So, yeah, the whole ethos of my opinions are changing. So who knows what I'm going to say on Friday night when we join LSAPC with our friends in the Funko community, and we have a good old chin wag, drink some alcohol, and just see where the night takes us. It's going to be a great talk. I thought we'd drop that in now. We're 40 minutes into the live stream. So, yeah, Friday night, guys. Subscribe to LSAPC in the chat. Click his channel, subscribe to him. Jeremy, please drop your link in the channel, in the chat, and people can follow you over ready for Friday. Charles, what are you thinking so far? We're about halfway through. What are you thinking so far? Are you learning more about the show? Are you getting more in depth with it?
Well, it explains a few different things. You know, it explained the King's Guard a little, or not the King's Guard.
The Night's Watch.
Night's Watch, King's Guard. It explained that a little bit more. You know, looking at it, you would think, oh, they're all just soldiers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but, you know, they each have their own, which is military in general. They each have their own thing. But in the show, it just looks like they all do everything. But, you know, there's the rank and tier of your jobs. So, yeah, I like that. I really don't need to hear any more about trees. Brian, just letting you know.
Oh, this is going to be a fun journey.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's
cool,
opening my eyes to a few more things for sure.
Awesome. Let's carry on. I appreciate it.
All right, here we go. The Order of the Maesters
by Maester Luwin.
In the far southwest of Westeros, at the mouth of the river Honeywine, lies the great stone city of Old Town. It is home to the Citadel, where men and boys from throughout the kingdoms come to receive their training as maesters. Maesters play an integral role in Westerosi society, serving as scholars, healers, and advisors to the nobility of the Seven Kingdoms. This venerable order of learned men dedicate their lives to serving the realm, and are sworn to occupy a neutral position when it comes to power and politics. Upon completing his training at the Citadel and taking his vows, a maester renounces his family name and takes a vow of celibacy.
Yep.
He is assigned to a castle or keep.
That's why Mitchie has
and
Jeremy's
duty
balls in a
bound
bag.
to serve as its counselor and healer, even if control of the castle changes hands. A maester's allegiance is to the realm, not to any one family. His badge of office is a great chain forged from links of different metals which he wears around his neck. It is a reminder of his role as a servant of the realm and is never to be removed. A maester forges his chain with study, and each link represents the mastery of a different kind of learning. For instance, a silver link signifies mastery of the medicinal arts. A golden link represents the study of money and accounting. An iron link indicates knowledge of warcraft. Ravenry is an especially important skill for a maester.
Armail, as we like to call it.
Trains, maintains carrier ravens for the delivering of messages throughout the land. There are some maesters who have earned a link forged of Valyrian steel.
Ooh.
This signifies knowledge of the higher mysteries, commonly known as magic. Only one maester in 100 possesses such a link,
looks like Daryl
as this
Walking
field of
Dead.
study is frowned upon by many in the Order. It is possible magic may have existed for a time long ago, but most consider the higher mysteries to be long gone from this world. Service as a maester is a noble calling, one of vital importance to a prosperous realm. It is little wonder there are some who refer to the Order as the Knights of the Mind.
Interesting. Mad King Aerys by Maester Luwin.
As word of King Aerys' erratic and troubling behavior spread throughout the Seven Kingdoms, Lord Rickard Stark continued to serve his king faithfully as Warden of the North. The proud father of 4 children, his daughter Lyanna, was engaged to Robert Baratheon, the young lord of Storm's End. Centuries of peace between the North and the Iron Throne ended the day Rhaegar Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, abducted Lyanna. Enraged, Brandon Stark rode to King's Landing, demanding the release of his sister and the death of Rhaegar. Aerys arrested him for treason and called his father to come to the capital to ransom him.
Good to see you.
When Lord Rickard complied, Aerys, now utterly mad, arrested him for treason as well. Lord Rickard demanded a trial by combat. Aerys declared fire the champion of House Targaryen, and had Lord Rickard suspended from the rafters of the throne room while pyromancers lit a blaze beneath him.
Ooh.
As he burned, Brandon was brought into the throne room. A leather cord attached to a strangulation device was wrapped around his neck. Aerys told Brandon his father was a dead man.
Were they like
there was a
part of the
chance to
Saul
save him.
franchise or what? God.
Yeah,
bro. Just Targaryens, bro.
Just out of Brandon's reach.
I don't know why everybody likes
and
them
the
so
more
much.
he struggled to reach it, the more the cord tightened around his throat. Brandon Stark strangled himself, trying to free his father, who was roasted alive in his own armor.
Damn it.
The entire court stood and watched this atrocity take place. Sir Jaime Lannister and the Kingsguard among them. The Mad King was reported to have laughed hysterically as these two noble men were tortured and brutally killed before him. Seeking to rid the world of all his supposed enemies, Aerys called for the head of Rickard's younger son, Eddard Stark, and Lyanna's betrothed, Robert Baratheon. He sent word to Lord Jon Arryn, who had fostered both young men at the Eyrie, to apprehend them. Instead, Lord Arryn joined houses Stark and Baratheon in rebellion. Robert vowed to kill Rhaegar Targaryen and get his beloved Lyanna back.
So I would assume, and I may be wrong, but I would assume if you're in that throne room and they're doing that and you turn away or you cover your eyes, you're probably next. They probably want you to see it. They don't want you to look away. Looking away is weakness. And I would just think that they would do that to you next if they saw you do that. Coward.
I like that intake. That's brilliant. It shows the dominance of the Targaryens and how mad King Aerys was. You're completely correct. I think he would have wanted everybody to watch. And if he could have done that in a more public setting, he would have. But, on his throne in where he'd taken, love it. And you've heard parts of this story throughout season 1 with Ned talking in the dungeons about how, people were there when his family were killed and they just didn't do anything about it. And, Varys and Jaime and all those kind of people. It's very interesting. Now we're going to hear the Mad King Aerys' story, but from Robert Baratheon's side. Okay. So same story, but from Robert's side. And this is one of my favorite ever voices in Game of Thrones. You guys are all just talking about how Maester Lewins has a fantastic voice. Robert Baratheon, voiced by Mark Addy, is the perfect casting for me in this show. And you'll find out why.
There we go.
Aerys Targaryen was the last of his name to sit on the Iron Throne. Known far and wide as the Mad King, his was a reign of instability and terror. The Seven Kingdoms are well rid of him and his kind. Oh, he may have appeared to be a capable ruler at first, but that was due in no small part to his counselors led by the hand of the king, Tywin Lannister. There may have been years of peace and prosperity during Aerys' reign, but it was Tywin who was really running the country as Aerys spiraled further and further into insanity. The dragon spawn were famous for losing their minds. It was the price they paid for centuries of keeping the bloodlines pure. And Aerys more than happily continued the noble sister-fucking tradition of his forefathers. As the years passed, Aerys' behavior became increasingly erratic. He cut himself so often on his Iron Throne, many referred to him as King Scab, though never to his face. It was rumored he had developed an obsession with wildfire, and was known to inflict horrific punishments on those he considered enemies, including burning them alive. As his paranoia and bloodlust grew, he had a bitter falling out with Lord Tywin, who had served the crown faithfully for 20 years. At least Tywin was able to leave the job with his life and fortunes intact. Subsequent hands of King Aerys weren't so fortunate. Then the Targaryens went too far. The Crown Prince Rhaegar abducted Lyanna Stark, daughter of Rickard Stark, the Lord of Winterfell. She was my betrothed. She was my beloved. Beautiful and spirited woman, and I loved her more than life itself. Rhaegar went south with Lyanna, hiding her away in Dorne. What harm he inflicted on the poor girl, the gods only know. Brandon Stark, Lyanna's eldest brother, was outraged. He rode to King's Landing to confront the king and demand his sister's safe return. Instead, Aerys had him executed, his father, Rickard Stark, as well. There wasn't much left to discuss after that. Aerys feared their loved ones would seek revenge for what he did. He was right to be afraid. Aerys wasted no time in calling for the heads of Brandon's younger brother, my friend Eddard Stark. And my head too, of course. I'm sorry he didn't come looking for it himself. Alongside Jon Arryn of the Vale, the man who fostered Ned and I as children, Baratheons, Starks, and Tullys all called their banners. Once our rebellion began, the Mad King's days were numbered.
So I want you to notice there in that statement he said in the very end, when our rebellion was done.
Yeah.
But in the history and annals, it's noted as Robert's rebellion. It's not our with the Starks. It's Robert's anger to his betrothed being stolen. It's interesting. He tells the story a little bit differently to the way it actually is.
Interesting.
You know, his little ego. He's brilliant though, just the way he talks, and he keeps the character in it. You know, some of them have just been talking as the actress or the actor, but Robert stays in character, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, now we're going to hear the same stories again, but from the Lannister side. So we've heard the Targaryen, we've heard the Stark and the Baratheon side, and now we're going to hear the Lannister side. We just heard that Tywin managed to escape being killed.
As Aerys Targaryen's behavior grew more and more erratic, the task of ruling the Seven Kingdoms fell to me, Tywin Lannister. I had served Aerys for nearly 20 years, and as a result, the realm had prospered. The royal coffers were full, the land was at peace. But Aerys grew increasingly hostile, jealous of the success many credited to me. My power and influence unnerved him. The captain of my personal guard, Sir Elyn Payne, was once overheard making offhand comments regarding who was the true ruler of Westeros. When the king was given this information, he had Elyn Payne's tongue ripped out with hot pincers. It was my desire to unite the houses of Lannister and Targaryen through marriage. My daughter Cersei would marry Aerys' eldest son, Prince Rhaegar. Such a union made perfect sense for all parties. However, Aerys' senses had begun to leave him quite some time earlier. Instead of uniting the royal family with its most loyal and powerful ally, Aerys chose instead to insult my family, indicating that such a match was beneath Rhaegar. Instead, he chose Elia Martell of Dorne to be Rhaegar's wife. As if to rub salt in my wounds, Aerys appointed Jaime, my son, to the King's Guard. The King's Guard may be an honor for lesser families than ours, but it is a lifetime appointment that forces him to renounce all family holdings. This creates a difficulty in naming an heir to Casterly Rock. But Aerys knew all that. I had grown tired of the king's constant provocation. Thus, I resigned my post as Aerys' hand and returned to Casterly Rock, with my considerable forces. When Robert Baratheon rebelled against the throne, Aerys grew fearful that I would join with Robert's forces and rise against him. He thought himself clever and kept Jaime very close, as if warning me. He sunk deeper and deeper into delusion, paranoia, and violence. I've heard it said he became obsessed with wildfire, a substance which, once lit, cannot be extinguished. Convinced he had enemies all round him, he wouldn't allow blades in his presence.
But he's sitting on an iron
those of his king's guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Alas, that proved to be his undoing.
Yeah, his king's guard was his undoing.
Wow. And that even said Robert rebelled. It didn't say they rebelled or Robert and or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a very small thing that he mentions. But if you obviously I've watched it that many times, I know it word for word. So it was picking up the small bit that he says our rebellion, like he got everybody together and it was their idea. No, it was Robert's idea. Let's not forget it was Robert's idea because they'd stole Lyanna Stark. So it's very interesting. Now we're going to go to some history and lore about the House Targaryen by Viserys Targaryen himself.
Here we go.
The Targaryen dynasty united the Seven Kingdoms and lasted nearly 3 centuries. It was a dynasty forged in fire, sealed in blood, and destroyed by rebellion. The Targaryens are blood of the dragon, descended from the nobility of ancient Valyria, a once mighty empire in the east. When the cataclysmic doom laid waste to Valyria and its people, the Targaryens survived, having settled on the island fortress of Dragonstone years before.
And the Valyrians survived. That's how we have called
until
us.
the rise of Aegon the Conqueror. Instead
Looks
of
like Sauron.
attempting to reclaim the eastern lands of his ancestors, Aegon sailed west for the Seven Kingdoms. His sisters Visenya and Rhaenys
I find
at
it
his
funny
side.
how the animation has changed. In
To
this
keep
one.
the bloodlines pure, Aegon continued the custom of his
Oh, we got
Valyrian
color, we
ancestors
got-
and took both of his sisters to wife.
It does that quite a lot.
Together, they came ashore on the eastern coast of Westeros. Their blazon, a dragon with 3 heads, representing Aegon and his sister wives. Their words, fire and blood. While their host was small in comparison to the armies of Westeros that awaited them, Aegon and his sisters had a secret weapon, the last of the dragons. He conquered
The
every
Infinity Gauntlet.
kingdom save Dorne, which eventually bowed to Targaryen rule a century later. He had the swords of his enemies melted down by the fiery breath of his dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, and forged into the Iron Throne. The capital city of King's Landing was built on the eastern coast, where Aegon and his sisters first came ashore. And Aegon ordered the construction of a royal castle on its highest hill, the Red Keep. For 300 years, the Targaryen dynasty stayed strong in the face of rebellion, civil war, and plague. But the line of dragon kings was broken when my father, Aerys Targaryen, the second of his name, was overthrown in rebellion. My father was
love how it's so
betrayed
different
and
on each side.
slaughtered by Ser Jaime Lannister, a member of his own Kingsguard. His son and heir, my brother Rhaegar, perished on the field of battle at the hands of Robert Baratheon, who claimed the Iron Throne for himself. And so today, the only surviving members of the storied Targaryen dynasty are myself, Prince Viserys, rightful King of the Andals and ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, and my sister, Daenerys. We were spirited away to the free cities of the East by loyalists. Here we have lived in exile ever since, dreaming of a day when we will cross the narrow sea and take back my father's throne.
Oh, it gives me shivers, man. It's so good. Oh, it's brilliant. You pause it there for a second, Charles? We have a question in the chat from West East Bay saying, how often will you stream this? I'm definitely going to watch/listen. So in regards to the lore and history, West East Bay, we're going to be doing this at the end of every season when we get to the end of obviously breaking them down. We are live every single Monday, not next Monday, but we are live every single Monday, and we're going to be doing season 2 because we've just finished season 1. This is the end of season 1 content. And then week off next week, and then the week after that, we're going to be back with episode 1 of season 2 breakdown. I'm going to have the slideshows, and we're going to have all sorts of stuff like that. So if you want to watch those as well, you're more than welcome to every Monday around 7 Central American time, somewhere give or take around there usually. But yeah, no, I appreciate your commenting, and I hope you're enjoying the stream. I'm having so much fun listening to this. I've seen these things umpteen times, but I'm smiling from ear to ear while watching this with Charles and you guys, because you all know I never thought I'd get the chance to do this, and now that it's being glorified and going to live forever on my channel, it's something amazing, because I never thought I'd get to do it. So I'm enjoying it even more, which is crazy because I've seen it before. But yeah, I'm loving it. And Charles, thank you again. I can't thank you enough for letting me do this with you and joining along. And everyone in chat is brilliant. I'm loving it. Let's carry on.
All right, here we go.
Rebellion.
The
crimes of House Targaryen were too heinous to go unanswered. The noble houses of Baratheon, Stark, and Arryn united to oppose and overthrow the line of the cursed Dragon Kings. While Ned Stark and Arryn secured an alliance with the Tullys of Riverrun, I called the banners of Storm's End and rode out in force against the Mad King and his minions.
Gods,
those were some battles.
God, there were some
Our first
battles.
victory occurred at Summerhall, where I faced off against an army of Dragon loyalists and won 3 battles in a single day. 3 in one day.
3.
7 hells, that was a glorious day.
7
We tried to take Ashford Castle in the Reach, but the Tyrrells beat us back. We had to regroup. My army was pursued north by Aerys's army and took refuge in the Stony Sept in the Riverlands. When the Targaryen army entered the town, the Sept bells tolled, a signal to the townspeople of the battle that was to come. As the Targaryens searched from house to house for me, the combined forces of Ned Stark and the Tullys swept into the city. Gods, what a day that was.
I've got fucking goosebumps,
It's
man. This
now
is so
known
good.
as the Battle of the Bells. We overwhelmed the Mad King's forces and sent them scampering back to King's Landing. Aerys's son, Rhaegar, who started the whole damn thing, finally emerged from hiding in the south and assembled his own army to face us. As for the Mad King, he must have been pissing himself. The battle that would decide the fate of the 7 kingdoms occurred at the crossing of the Green Fork of the Trident River. Rhaegar commanded the royal host, which was some 40,000 strong. My forces were outnumbered by nearly 5,000 men, but that didn't matter. They were fresh, but we were battle-hardened and had justice on our side. As the battle raged around us, I faced off with Rhaegar, the stag and the dragon right there in the ford of the river. I fought with the fury of 10 men, raining blow after blow upon that vile prince before burying my warhammer in his chest. I hit him so hard the rubies on his armor broke free, flinging them into the stream. They call it the Ruby Ford now. With that scum Rhaegar dead and the royal army shattered, our next move was to make for King's Landing. But I'd sustained a few wounds in the battle and was unable to ride. I sent Ned Stark to the capital to face the Mad King and make him pay for his crimes.
So, for the second or third episode, when they were playing down by the river, is that why the kid was looking for rubies?
Yeah, that was on the river that was on the Trident on the Ruby Ford. That was where the fight took place. Good catch. It's actually a place I've been to that I do have in a video upcoming that I'm working on that's taking forever. But yeah,
Nice.
when I visited Ireland, I went to the exact riverbank, which was pretty cool. I didn't see any rubies though.
Oh, okay, good.
But yeah, loving it. Oh, just one of my favorite episodes. That completely when he starts swearing and pissing himself and all that. Robert's amazing. Now we're going to hear Robert's rebellion from Viserys' side.
The Targaryens, blood of the dragon and the last of old Valyria, were loved by their subjects and admired far and wide as the greatest dynasty in the history of the Western world. But the peace and prosperity of nearly 3 centuries of Targaryen rule was shattered by the usurper, Robert Baratheon, and his band of traitors. House Baratheon owed its very existence to the Targaryens. Was it not Aegon the Dragon himself who elevated the bastard Orys Baratheon in the War of Conquest? And what of the Starks, the Lannisters, the Aarons of the Vale? All had been spared and allowed to keep their lands when Aegon could easily have wiped them out. Centuries later, the usurper and his lackeys repaid Aegon's benevolence with treachery. There are some who dare to claim Robert and his allies had reason to rebel. They say the Crown Prince stole the usurper's lady love. They say my father, King Aerys, murdered Rickard Stark and his son without just cause. Whether these charges are true or not, it doesn't matter. The dragon answers to no one. Aerys' good name has been besmirched in the years since the rebellion. He's been called a dangerous madman, a monster, a tyrant that brought his tragic end upon himself. Lies! My father was a victim of weaklings in his council, lackwits who failed him in his hour of need and let the rebellion spin out of control.
It wasn't his fault at all.
But it was not enough. The royal army was crushed at the Battle of the Trident. It was there the valiant Rhaegar met Robert in single combat, but the gods betrayed him, and he perished by the usurper's hand. As the Field of Fire had marked the end of the Andal centuries before, the Battle of the Trident seemed to herald the end of the Dragon Kings. When word reached the capital of my brother Rhaegar's death, my father Aerys moved to protect me, as I was the surviving heir to the throne. He sent me to the island fortress of Dragonstone, along with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was great with child. But as my father, my king, Aerys Targaryen, prepared to defend his throne to the bitter end, little did he know of the horrors and betrayals that awaited him and our family.
Quite different.
Yeah, definitely a different take. It's interesting though which one you want to go with, and that's why it put such a divide on the fandom. Everybody is either House Stark, House Lannister, House Targaryen. Even when I was in Ireland, I saw a House Baratheon couple, the American couple that were on the coach, and he had a Baratheon hat, and just him having a Baratheon hat sparked a conversation amongst the two of us, because I was wearing this Stark one, and I never see people donning the Baratheons as their favorite house, and it was just really, really cool to see that there is people out there that do love the Baratheons, and I saw it firsthand. So it's interesting, Yeah. The storyline and all that, it's all connected, all of it.
Definitely. All right. Speaking of House Baratheon, here we go. Maybe.
Ours is the fury. These are the words of the Black Stag of Baratheon. A battle cry echoed throughout the land in rebellion when I, Robert Baratheon, the first of his name, seized the Iron Throne from the Mad King Aerys Targaryen, ending a dynasty nearly 300 years old. House Baratheon was born in the Wars of Conquest, when Aegon the Dragon invaded Westeros. Aegon sent his commander, Orys Baratheon, to take Storm's End. Argilac the Arrogant, the last of the Storm Kings, foolishly left the safety of his stronghold and met the Baratheon warlord in open battle. Argilac was soundly defeated, and Orys took his lands, his holdings, and his daughter. Orys was said to be a half-brother to Aegon Targaryen. If this were true, a little blood of the dragon mingled with that of the stag in those days. The seat of House Baratheon is Storm's End, a legendary keep raised in the Age of Heroes. It overlooks Shipbreaker's Bay, where legend has it that Durin, the first Storm King,
where the fight with Rhaegar and Arryn in season 1
started, forging a centuries-long connection with the Stormlands and the North. After Aegon's conquest of the Seven Kingdoms, the Baratheons remained loyal enough to the crown while Targaryen kings came and went. But loyalty has its limits. When Rhaegar Targaryen, Aerys's vile son and heir, abducted Lyanna Stark, my betrothed, my beloved, it was time
We have to let you know that she was his beloved.
We raised our banners, Baratheon, Stark, Jon Arryn, and the
raised our
Tullys,
banners.
united in rebellion against Rhaegar and his father, the Mad King.
He keeps saying our, and
We were
everyone else is like
victorious
it was his
and
deal.
took the Iron Throne. That bit of dragon blood in my veins came in well, as it made me a distant relation to the Targaryen dynasty blood of my long-lost ancestor, Orys. The truth of it is, I took it. I sit on the Iron Throne. I rule the Seven Kingdoms from the Red Keep.
Okay.
The Sack of King's Landing by Maester Luwin.
Robert Baratheon's victory at the Trident was a turning point in the war for the Iron Throne. While it was clear the gods were smiling on the rebel forces, Aerys Targaryen still held the Red Keep at King's Landing. As Robert was wounded and unable to ride, it was up to Eddard Stark to make for the capital and force the Mad King to give up the throne. Lord Stark reached the city gates to find that Tywin Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, had already sacked the city in Robert's name. House Lannister had remained neutral up to this point, ignoring requests for help from both the Crown and the rebels. Now that Robert's eventual victory was assured, it seemed Lord Tywin had finally chosen a side. Lord Eddard was horrified by what he saw when he entered the city. Homes looted and burned, women raped, scores of innocent citizens killed. Disgusted, he led his force up Visenya's hill to the Red Keep. Upon entering the throne room, he found King Aerys lying in a pool of blood, dead by the hand of his own sworn King's Guard, Jaime Lannister.
Oh, you
who sat
swine.
brazenly upon the throne. Demanding to know the whereabouts of Queen Rhaela, Lord Eddard was informed the Queen and her son Viserys had been spirited away to Dragonstone before the Lannisters arrived.
I wonder
But
who
other
did
members
that.
of the royal family were not as fortunate. Elia
Varys,
Martell
maybe?
of Dorne, who was the wife of Prince Rhaegar, had been raped and murdered by Sir Crigor Clegane on Lord Tywin's orders.
That's the Hound.
Sir Grigor and his man had also butchered Rhaegar's young children. When Robert was well enough to reach the capital, Lord Eddard demanded the Lannisters answer for their heinous crimes. Robert refused, and sent him south to relieve the Baratheon stronghold of Storm's End,
Well,
which
if you
was
said
still
Gregor,
under
it might
siege
have
by
been
forces
the
loyal
mountain.
to the crown. Whatever words passed between the two old friends are known only to them. But Lord Eddard is said to have left King's Landing in anger. Later, when Robert was crowned, he appointed Jon Arryn as Hand of the King. Lord Arryn's first order of business was to broker a truce with the Martells of Dorne, who were outraged by the brutal murder of Princess Elia and her children. Following the death of Lyanna Stark, who had been betrothed to Robert, houses Baratheon and Lannister were joined in marriage when the new king took Tywin Lannister's eldest daughter Cersei as his queen. As for Eddard Stark, he returned to his stronghold of Winterfell, forever haunted by his sister's death and the shameful way that Robert had secured his throne.
So, Ned Stark, right?
Yeah.
Where did Ned come from?
What do you mean?
What's his name?
Eddard Stark.
Yeah, Eddard. Where did Ned come from?
I think it's just a nickname, Ned.
Yeah, 'cause everyone calls him, like 90% of people call him Ned Stark.
Because his name's Eddard, but it's just an Ned. It's just a nickname.
Okay. I just wondered.
In the
All
books, he's referenced to as Eddard Stark. None of the chapters in the book say Ned Stark. They say Eddard Stark.
Gotcha.
So it is an interesting situation. But he's called that in the show as well. People call him Ned.
Okay, I was just wondering.
No, it's a good question. It's a very good question.
All right.
We're almost done, guys.
Be prepared to piss yourself, boys and girls. Here we go.
For our rebellion to succeed, King's Landing had to be taken forcefully. No one was foolish enough to believe that Aerys was going to hand his crown over peacefully. The Mad King's reign needed to end. What Tywin Lannister's forces did was unfortunate, but it was necessary to secure the Iron Throne and bring peace and justice to the Seven Kingdoms. My glorious victory at the Trident left me wounded, but I sent my personal maester to attend to Ser Barristan Selmy instead. His wounds were more severe. Even though Ser Barristan was a member of Aerys' Kingsguard and fought on the opposing side, that man's bravery and loyalty was something to behold.
It's the man who throws his sword
This
down in the
meant my
end.
wounds would take longer to heal, and I couldn't ride to King's Landing myself.
It's the man who throws his sword down in
Sent
the
the
end.
one man
when
I
they-
trusted
when they-
over anyone else in this
he says that
world,
I would be a
Ned
king.
Stark, in my place. Had I been able to ride, perhaps I could have reached King's Landing sooner and prevented some of the violence that occurred when the Lannisters entered the city. Still, what Lord Tywin did was for the greater good. Even what happened to Princess Elia and her children. Babies or no, theirs was the same cursed blood that flowed within the Mad King's veins. They were dragon spawn and couldn't be allowed to survive. What would they grow to be? Loyal subjects? Ned with his damn northern honor. He and I had our first major fight over the deaths of the Targaryen children. Ned called it murder. Murder? It was war. It was war. Lord Stark demanded that the Lannisters be held responsible for their crimes. Was it a crime to put an end to a family of lunatics born of incest? I wouldn't and still won't blame Tywin. Instead, I sent Ned Stark south to finish off the remaining Targaryen loyalists. It was only Lyanna Stark's death that reconciled us. Ned had lost his sister. I had lost my betrothed and beloved. We shared that sad bond together, Ned and I. Through it, our friendship was made strong again. As for the Mad King's surviving heirs, those that were able to scurry away in the face of my fury now live somewhere across the narrow sea. They had best stay there. If they ever set foot in Westeros again, they will face the King's justice.
So, oh man. So I find it funny how Robert there says the Targaryens, incest and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If he only knew what the Lannisters were doing right now.
Yep, exactly that. I wanted to point out that earlier on we heard that Tywin Lannister tried to marry Cersei to Rhaegar, and the Targaryen King Aerys laughed at him and thought it would belittle his honor and his family name. So that never happened, okay? But then it all ends up that he dies and Robert takes the throne, and Robert then miraculously is now marrying Cersei. So who really is in charge? Is it Tywin or is it Robert? Tywin's been trying to get Cersei married since the start, and now he gets Cersei married and she's now in the place he wants her to be in.
Yep.
It's very interesting how Tywin is weaving his little lines of succession into this, It's very interesting. And you hear about the Martell daughters being killed. That's a very prominent story that'll go forward as well. So it's something to remember about. The Martell daughters were killed by the Lannisters when they were sacking King's Landing. Now we'll hear from Tywin himself.
There we go.
Rhaegar Targaryen lay dead on the banks of the Trident, his royal army shattered and in retreat. The days of the Dragon Kings were clearly numbered. Until that moment, it would have been foolish to commit Casterly Rock to either the Crown or the rebellion. What would our family have to gain in supporting a raving madman? Or in entering a crusade to put Robert Baratheon on the Iron Throne? But chaos benefits no one. It was time for House Lannister to do what it could to ensure a return of peace and prosperity to the land. I, Tywin Lannister, brought 10,000 Lannister troops to the gates of King's Landing in order to bring the bloodshed to a quick and decisive conclusion. King Aerys had been sending ravens for months, begging for my support to end the uprising. In a way, his pleas had been answered. As I had suspected, Aerys opened the city gates and welcomed my men. Our plan was clear. Crush Aerys' remaining bannermen and remove the remnants of the royal family as quickly and efficiently as possible. Any alternative meant years of further war and a fragmented Seven Kingdoms. Our means were bloody, but the results speak for themselves. As for Aerys, it is true he met his fate at the hands of my son. Aerys had kept Jaime close during the rebellion, thinking himself clever in keeping my son as a hostage, should I decide to pledge support to the rebel cause. This proved to be his greatest mistake. For when the time came, Jaime did his duty as a Lannister and drove his sword into the Mad King's back. With that, Robert Baratheon's crown was secured.
Well, that's a Lannister. Kill from behind.
The new king recognized our role in his ascension to the throne, just as he recognized how useful the might and riches of Casterly Rock would be if he wanted to keep it.
Robert was playing
To
checkers and
that
Tywin
end,
was
I
playing
offered
3D
my
chess.
daughter Cersei as his queen.
Yes, definitely.
Had Aerys not spurned this same offer years earlier, perhaps things would have worked out differently. With Robert and Cersei crowned as king and queen of the Seven Kingdoms, it was a new day. The dragon was vanquished, and the Seven Kingdoms would thereafter belong to the stag and the lion.
So I find it funny how Jaime Lannister stabbed the king in the back, because he likes to stab a lot of things from behind.
Yeah, his sister Cersei would know quite a lot about that, I'm guessing. He also, was kind of like that with Ned as well. You know, Ned got caught from the back by Peter Baelish, and and in the fight in the courtyard. It's very interesting the way that he does like to stab from behind.
He prides himself as this big sword wielding,
Honorable man, but he can't do it to your face.
It seems like he goes around the backside a lot and sneaks up.
Can't face his actions face to face like a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I like it. I like how you're picking up on these things. We're almost done. We're at 59 minutes out of an hour and 10, so 10 minutes left. Probably like 3 or 4 more videos. We're going to hear the sacking of King's Landing again, but from Viserys this time.
All right.
The Battle of the Trident may have been an important victory for the usurper, but it was the treachery and barbarism of Tywin Lannister that sealed the fate of the Targaryen dynasty. My father, King Aerys, had ever been a friend to the Lions of the Rock. Aerys graciously brought Tywin to court, making him the youngest hand of the king in history. He gave him power. He gave him respect. He made it possible for Tywin to restore House Lannister to glory. Aerys and Tywin governed side by side for 20 prosperous years. Still, when the usurper called his banners in rebellion, Tywin Lannister ignored his king's pleas for help and stayed holed up in his stronghold of Casterly Rock. In time, my brother, Prince Rhaegar, was dead. The realm was in turmoil, and the usurper's forces were said to be riding for King's Landing. What a glorious sight it must have been when a force of 10,000 Lannister men showed up at the gate of the capital with Lord Tywin at their head, pledging support to his beleaguered king. Aerys opened the gates for his old friend. Instead, Lannister and his men proceeded to plunder and destroy the city that he had called home for decades. As the capital was ravaged and its people terrorized, Jaime Lannister, son of Lord Tywin, proved every bit as treacherous. He killed my father, the king, at the foot of the Iron Throne. The Lannisters entered the Red Keep, and Tywin ordered the deaths of the rest of the royal family. It is said Princess Rhaenys was found cowering under her father's bed and put to the sword. She was only a child. As for Rhaegar's widow, Elia, she was forced to watch as Lannister thugs dashed her baby son's head against a wall before being raped and murdered herself.
You raped her! You murdered her!
To my father's throne, I had been spirited away to Dragonstone with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was with child. As a raging summer storm battered the island fortress and destroyed the Targaryen fleet as it lay at anchor, my sister Daenerys was born. My mother, the Queen, died giving birth. Now, some 17 years later, the rightful king still lives in exile. But a day of reckoning is coming. I will sail west as Aegon the Dragon did centuries before. I will take back my father's throne with blood and fire. And I will punish the treacherous dogs who sought to destroy my family.
Okay, buddy.
And
okay.
The people shall rejoice.
House Arryn by Catelyn Stark. Now I think we're going to go through the houses.
In the snow-capped mountains of the moon, standing high above the rich lands of the Vale, stands the Eyrie, a storied and impregnable fortress said to have been built by the legendary Mountain Kings in the Age
good men
of
and
Heroes.
impregnate the bitch.
It is the stronghold of House Arryn, one of the oldest noble families in Westeros.
You met Lady Jane in House of the Dragon. She's here.
A soaring falcon over
That's
a
where
crescent
dragon
moon.
eggs went in the kids, right?
Their words.
And where the man is sucking, the boy's sucking on his
high
mum's
as
boobs.
honor.
Yeah.
The Arryns are direct descendants of Andal invaders, who sailed across the narrow sea and came ashore at the Fingers. According to legend, Sir Artus Arryn, known as the Winged Knight, soared through the sky atop a giant falcon, landing on the peak of the highest mountain where he defeated the Griffin King in battle.
Nice.
It was the Andals' first great victory over the First Men, and Sir Artus was duly rewarded. He was declared King of the Mountain and the Vale, and the region was renamed the Vale of Arryn. Thousands of years later, Aegon the Conqueror arrived in Westeros. House Arryn bent the knee to Aegon and his dragons, and were allowed to maintain the control of the region as Lords Paramount of the Vale and Wardens of the East. Over the centuries, House Arryn remained loyal to the Targaryen dynasty until Lord Jon Arryn joined with houses Baratheon and Stark in rebellion against Mad King Aerys. Upon winning the Iron Throne, Robert named Lord Jon Hand of the King, a position he held until his mysterious death.
My dragon has arrived.
Nice. House Lannister by Tywin Lannister.
On the far western coast of the continent, high atop a rocky promontory overlooking the Sunset Sea, sits Casterly Rock, ancestral seat of House Lannister. Below it lies Lannisport, one of the great cities of Westeros, a center for trade, culture, and the great Lannister fleet. There are a number of gold and silver mines in the Westerlands, making it the richest region in all of Westeros.
And that's why they're rich.
One of the most productive mines lies beneath Casterly Rock itself, making House Lannister the wealthiest of all the noble houses. This allows House Lannister to finance many endeavors of other noble houses. Even the king himself has sought credit from Casterly Rock from time to time. We Lannisters claim our descent from the Andal invaders, and through the female bloodline, Lann the Clever. According to the legend, Lann, using only his wits, won Casterly Rock from the noble House of Casterly, during the Age of Heroes. The Lannisters reigned as kings of the Rock for thousands of years, and worked to make it the envy of the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. Our time as kings ended, however, when Aegon Targaryen, otherwise known as Aegon the Conqueror, arrived in Westeros with his army. The last king of the Rock, King Loren Lannister, joined forces with King Mern Gardner, the king of the Reach. Together, with 60,000 men, they met the Targaryen host in open battle. History tells us that Aegon unleashed all 3 of his dragons, slaughtering 4,000 men at what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern himself was burned alive that day, and House Gardner turned to ash with him. Seeing both the threat and opportunity the Targaryens represented, Loren wisely surrendered and aided Aegon in his further conquest of Westeros.
I love how they tell the story.
The Lannisters were thus appointed Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West, titles we hold to this day. Let us be clear, though. It is neither luck nor royal favor that makes our house prosperous. There have been times in our history where some have thought us weak, lazy, or opulent. My father, Titus Lannister, nearly bankrupted our house with his poor investments, and allowed himself to be mocked openly at court. When our vassal, the Rains of Castamere, dared to rise up against the Lannisters, they learned how dangerous it can be to taunt a lion. I, Tywin Lannister, led the assault on Castamere to put down this rebellion. I made an example of them, to anyone who doubts our might. They even made a quaint song about the fates of the Rains of Castamere. Sadly, there are no Rains left to hear it. Today, the Golden Lion of Lannister is rightly admired and feared throughout the Seven Kingdoms. Our words are, "Hear me roar." But there are other words that should be remembered when crossing a Lion of Casterly Rock. A Lannister always pays his debts.
How many times have we heard that already?
House Stark by Bran and Robb.
The Starks of Winterfell trace their descent to the first men in the Age of Heroes. The family's founder was Brandon the Builder, who, in the aftermath of the Long Night, helped establish the Night's Watch. Legend has it he enlisted the aid of giants and the powerful magic of the Children of the Forest to raise the mighty wall, which has protected the realm for generations. He went on to build the ancestral seat of Winterfell and reigned as the first king in the north.
The Starks reigned as kings for thousands of years, even withstanding the invasion of the Andals. As the southern kingdoms fell and the Children of the Forest were driven away, the north stood strong, maintaining its religious customs and its way of life. Eventually, the reign of the Kings of Winter came to an end with the coming of Aegon the Conqueror. After Aegon and his dragons destroyed the combined armies of the Reach and the Rock at the Field of Fire, King Torrhen Stark bent the knee and swore fealty to the Targaryen dynasty in order to spare the destruction of Winterfell and his people. He was forever after known as the King Who Knelt. As a reward for his submission, Aegon named Torrhen Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North.
The Starks take great pride in their history and traditions. It is one of the few noble houses that still keeps the old gods. A sacred weirwood tree looms large in Winterfell's Godswood. Its ancestral sword, Ice, was forged in ancient Valyria and has been passed down through the generations. House Stark remains steadfast in its support of the Night's Watch, even as the once illustrious order has fallen on hard times. Much like their sigil, the Grey Direwolf, House Stark is the stuff of legend in the north and throughout the Seven Kingdoms. And their family words, "Winter is coming,"
serve as a reminder of their beginnings in the wake of the Long Night and a grim portent of things to come.
There we go. that is the Laws and Histories. I love how it ends with the double monologue of Bran and Robb. We ended with Robb being proclaimed the king in the north, the king in the north. So it fits you in perfectly with everything you need to know going into season 2. We are gonna hear more about the Children of the Forest. We are gonna see Bran with trees. It's an inevitable thing, Charles. I know you kind of played a little bit on Bran and trees again. It's gonna be a continued thing. So stick with it.
I agree, Corey. Awesome stories. Awesome.
Definitely indeed. I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I don't think I'll ask them all. Which character's historical background or lore do you find most intriguing?
Probably Robert, because we learned the most about him.
Baratheon?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that answer. Okay. What are your thoughts on the portrayal of the Targaryen conquest? Do you think it was justified given the context?
I don't think you needed to kill the whole family, if that's what you're asking.
I am, yeah. I'm asking you, do you think it was just they killed, Rhaegar Targaryen? So, because he stole Lyanna Stark?
Yeah.
So do you believe that they should have done what they did? Or like you said, you don't think they should have killed the whole family, so you kind of disagree with what they did?
I don't think they should have killed the whole family, no. I mean, an eye for an eye type thing is 1 for 1. It's not 1 for 12.
Okay.
In my opinion,
Okay.
But that's just me.
And final question: which of the historical events mentioned here in this video do you think had the biggest impact on the power dynamics in Westeros?
Current or ongoing?
Current. That's all you know of. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I know of.
Yeah, your opinion right now going forward.
Good question. Say it again.
Which of the historical events mentioned here in this video do you think had the biggest impact on the power dynamics in Westeros?
I would have to say, personally, I honestly think it's probably the killing off of the Targaryens.
The Lannisters killing the Targaryens?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I completely agree. That would have been my answer. It was the Targaryens thinking the Lannisters were coming to help. They opened the gates and then they slaughtered them. It was the Lannisters. It's the history of the Lannisters for me.
And again, 1 for 1, not 1 for 12. Especially kids. The kids had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love it. Do you feel like you learned something about Game of Thrones season 1 watching this? Yeah. Awesome. Then I think that we should definitely continue doing them. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed listening to it with you guys. It was fantastic. We're going to do it again. We are going to do it again. Before we get to Meme of the Week, whilst doing this, I had an epiphany in my mind. Now, I want to do something regarding voiceovers and people that do voice work and stuff like that. And I want to get some people together and basically reenact everything that we've just watched. But as me, I could play Robert, and Charles could play Bran, and Jeremy could play Tywin, and we could all voice the script lines, and I could produce it with our voices. I think that would be something pretty cool, because I know people do voiceover stuff. It's if you know any cool people that do voiceover stuff that would be interested in this, or anyone that's going to college or university that's doing this kind of stuff for their credit degree, like, you're more than welcome to come and stretch your acting abilities with your voice on my channel for free. I don't care. I'd love to do that. That's something we could do maybe after the series, to continue doing Game of Thrones content and stuff like that. Just know that came into my mind whilst I was thinking about this. And I am also working on a secret project with another YouTuber regarding War of the Worlds, and I've voiced over a character for that. That's going to be coming to the YouTube world in the distant future. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll be promoting that when that happens. But yeah, very, very, very cool.
Awesome.
This was fun for sure. Love hearing the different sides. Completely agree. 100% agree. I think they're so good. And Corey said it earlier, you could fall asleep listening to these. I have many times. I put them on though with the intention to go to sleep, and I'm still listening when it's on because I just can't fall to sleep. I'm deep into it. I love it so much. Corey says, "Great live, dude." Thank you very much, Corey. Really, really appreciate you.
Yes, definitely.
We're going to do meme of the week. So this is going to basically end off season 1. It's so hard to find memes for season 1. I don't know if it was that time of the internet world where Game of Thrones came out. It had season 1, and then I think season 2, the meme world kicked up, and everyone was doing those kind of things. And
probably
because when you search for stuff on the internet, you can easily find season 2 onwards, but they're all spoilers for you. So I tried not to have any spoilers, but we'll see. So I need to take my looks like we need to take off my, where is it? My overlay, because it's hiding. So when people tell me to stop watching Game of Thrones and do something else with my life, I tell them, you think my life is just some precious thing to me?
Exactly.
You know, love it. What are we doing? We haven't even played meme of the week. The clip. We haven't even played the clip.
I don't know.
Imagine falling asleep at the soothing voice and then being abruptly awoken by King Robert's voice. Yeah, that'd be good. Whoa! You'd be like, whoa, what's going on?
I was pissing myself.
Was that an English accent, Charles?
No, it was Australian.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you off for that one. Guys, it's meme of the week. Last one for the series. So like the stream if you enjoy these, and consider going over to buymeacoffee.com/RyanMilky14. Really cheap, really over there. You can support me. Just that little bit extra, and you'll also get a shout out when I go buy a coffee. I will say thank you for the coffee. But let's play meme of the week.
Tonight.
I'm not going to play it twice because it helps with the editing.
Tonight.
Oh, I want a certain character to play that to Jon Snow in a cave and see his reaction. That's a future joke, Charles. You'll get to it. Me watching Game of Thrones with friends. You know that book? You know in the book they actually, I don't know if I would be really annoying in person to watch it with, because I wouldn't shut up. I'd be like, yeah, that didn't happen in the book. That's different. Yeah, love it. On the right here is. And that, kids, is How I Met Your Mother. Jamie and Cersei in the womb. That's on the left, sorry. And on the right here is a favourite picture of all my favourite Game of Thrones characters.
Nice.
Oh. How I watch Game of Thrones. No! What are you doing? Seriously? Because it happens, Charles. I am warning you now. Season 1 is quite subtle for death. Okay? The big one is Ned, but it kind of builds to it. You can kind of tell it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just be warned, in season 2 onwards, you can be having a beautiful conversation with a character you love, and in the next scene, they are dead. So just be warned and be on your toes, because it's going to happen. And I can't wait for your reactions. I really can't. Here on the left is a girlfriend is just a sister that you choose. James grinning. Getting ready for the new season of Game of Thrones is like, I'm going to need a lot of booze to handle this shit, because I put myself through so much mental torture and anguish every time I go through this story with these characters. It kills me every single time, for good reasons and for bads, which we will talk about as we get to them. I relate to Game of Thrones because, much like my own life, I have no idea what's going on, and there is a lot of drinking of wine. I love it. So Joffrey did a little family tree circle. He did his parents on the left and his uncles on the right, and Jamie kind of sits in the middle there. He's his parent and his uncle.
Yeah.
And then that famous meme, to the window, to the wall. Oh, here's a future picture from a future episode, Charles. Just stay on the lookout for this.
Okay.
Oh, when your friend starts watching Game of Thrones and you tell them and they tell you how much they love Ned Stark. Oh, my sweet summer child.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lots of people are like, "Oh, Ned Stark's so good. He's so honorable. He's brilliant.
He's my favorite character." Yeah.
Yeah, and then he gets taken away from us at the end.
Anyway,
Crazy. So me watching some shows opening credits on the left, and then me watching the Game of Thrones credits on the right. It's one of those that you cannot skip. You cannot skip it because it's part of the show as well. People think it's not part of the show, but it is. It unveils new areas that we'll be visiting within that episode, so you have to watch carefully.
The Tapestry.
Yeah, the Tapestry, exactly. Would you like to see? Oh, it's been said, so we're gonna have to play it. Where is it? Do we even still have the Tapestry in here?
Perhaps Prince Damon would care for a tour of the gallery. He hasn't yet seen the new tapestries gifted to you by Novus and Cohort.
Would you like to see the tapestry?
I love how she says enormous Uncle Haw as well, like he was a big fat guy.
Yeah.
Enormous Uncle Haw. A man is smart. A man knows you are reading this in his voice. This is a character you're going to get introduced to in season 2, Charles, called Hack-in-a-Jar. You know of the Funko. You know we've already mentioned him a lot in my breakdowns and my just rambling of Game of Thrones throughout the years. Yep. Great character. He was also in Stranger Things, if you recall. I don't know if you watched Stranger Things.
Yeah.
The final season, the Russian guy with the hopper in the jail that's helping him get around. This is him.
Nice.
Hey, Jamie, why do Lannisters have such big beds?
Nah.
I don't know. Why? Because they push 2 twins together to make a king.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
No wonder you got killed. Jesus. Here is Game of Thrones, an abridged version. All my friends are dead. That's all you need to read. Just the one on the bottom left. All my friends are dead. Here on the right, you've got the girl that you like, her father, her brother, her uncle, her first love, and then you. Like,
exactly.
Damn it. Damn it. Is your favorite character? Is character your favorite? Yes, they will die soon. No, they will probably also die soon. Love it. This is bringing me some cool memories with people in the chat earlier asking you to write some predictions down for seasons. It will be interesting to see who you think survives through the seasons and out of the main characters. It'll be really, really cool to see what you think going forward. So the Game of Thrones cycle. This is the best show ever. I think I found my new favorite character. No, why? Oh God, no, why? I will never watch this stupid shit again. This is the best show ever. I think I found my new favorite. It just goes round and round and round.
Yep, like the hands on a clock.
Until we get to the end. Me, when a person is hurt in Game of Thrones, versus me when a direwolf is hurt in Game of Thrones. Like, no,
like
no,
it's like the dog getting kicked. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the end of the memes, but we do have some pictures of some Game of Thrones characters holding some Funko Pops, which I thought were pretty cool. So I thought I'd bring them along with us. So let's have a look at some of these. Daenerys. How cute. Oh, cute. So you got Khal Drogo and Daenerys there.
Aww.
Probably would have got a better interaction out of the Funko Pop than you did the actual character.
Yeah.
Very accurate. Very accurate. Exactly, Corey. The circle. It has to be the circle. It's so good.
I would say, yeah.
This one's horrible. George R.R. Martin holding the headless Ned Pop.
Is there a George R.R. Martin Funko Pop?
There is. Give me a second.
There is. I was wondering. I mean, I know we have every other dragon, everything. You know, we need a Harren Hall. Yeah, we need a Harren Hall piece. That'd be pretty cool. Definitely.
Oh, I don't know what I missed.
Nothing. I was just saying how we need a Harrenhal Funko.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I have a Barnes and Noble exclusive. George R. R.
That
Martin,
makes sense. Okay.
because he's an author and it's a bookshop, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And there's also the 2018 full convention exclusive limited edition 3-pack creators
Oh,
with
nice.
Dan and David and George R. R. Martin in the middle,
Awesome.
which is pretty cool. So yeah, George is in both pops. I do believe though it's exactly the same mold.
It's the same pop, yeah. I was gonna say.
It's exactly the same pop, just in a single version and then in a creator version, which is a little bit annoying. But hey, these were out a long time ago. So
You don't. Come here.
yeah.
Be my dragon.
Damon on Harrenhal for Hot D Season 2 NFT. Oh, stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes, we need series 2. Let's go. That would get me back in. That would get me back in the NFTs. Just saying.
Yeah, I said in the Luau chat last night how I thought that the Stranger Things NFTs were a massive disappointment because they were just basically character pops in a show that is full of wonderful magical creatures. Like,
Yes.
why not go down that line? And then
Creatures, locations. Yeah.
I get scared for House of the Dragon Season 2 that we're just going to get another Kristen Cole. And I just don't want it. I'd rather have a Harrenhal, a Harrenhal location or another dragon or just something different and unique for the line. Just don't give me people pops, please.
No.
Yeah, that's my rant. Arya Stark with the Hound and Arya, 2 cool pops. Podrick, who we will meet in next season, kissing Brienne of Tarth. Brienne of Tarth carrying her own Funko Pop. Fun fact: in Star Wars, you know the golden stormtrooper in the last movies, played by Gwendolyn Christie. She is the golden stormtrooper.
Nice.
Such a cute little Joffrey with his mum and his uncle in Funko Pop. Love Joffrey, such a cool guy. I would love that suit. I think it actually sold at the auction.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Jon Snow, behind the wall, the early budget wall that they had. They obviously added CGI.
Yeah.
With Jon Snow and the White Walker Funko Pop. I have this Funko Pop here, the one that he's holding. Also, fun fact: I have my own custom Funko Pop with my head on this body, from Opie.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
Obi. Well, I haven't seen Obi in a while. Hope he's okay. If anyone knows of his presence, let him know we're thinking of him. Reach out. Cersei with her own Funko Pop tight to her bosom.
That's such a lucky Funko Pop.
Lena Headey plays Cersei. Tywin with his family. Even included little Tyrion there.
Oh, is it life size, Tyrion?
Might be. Just I like these photos because you can clearly see they're on the film set and they're on the
Exactly.
I love the costumes, like so cool.
Yeah, Funko just showed up and they're like, "Here, hold this."
Yeah, probably. Jaime Lannister with Jaime and his sister in Funko form. Sir Davos with Cersei and Daenerys. Interesting to see where his alliances lie. Good old Peter Dinklage, Tyrion himself, holding a Brienne. Interesting choice of Funko choice. I wonder why he didn't have his own. Smoldering look there right now. Fun fact: Fidel shared in the group chat that he just did the Hot Ones challenge. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's such a good watch.
Yes, I started watching it. I think it was the night that it was late and I fell asleep. I gotta restart it and watch it.
Yeah, he has a very good conversation with the host about Charles Dance, who plays Tywin Lannister, and about their relationship in the story. And it gives you a little bit of behind the scenes information, which is very, very cool to know because I didn't know about it, and it was very cool. Here we have Theon, Alfie Allen, with Ned Stark. Interesting. You know, he's the brother of the singer Lily Allen. If you know of that singer.
No.
Missandei with Grey Worm. More characters we will see next season.
Okay.
Here is Aidan Gillen, who plays Littlefinger. Peter Baelish. Looks very different, out of character.
I have that pop actually.
You do have that pop. Okay.
I have a Peter Baelish pop. Yeah, that's the only House of, or Game of Thrones I have besides the NFTs.
Yeah, I was going to say no. You've got the Grail Game of Thrones, my friend. Don't lie. you've got the bloody Grail.
I don't think I got the Grail in that.
I thought you did. I thought you got the Daenerys.
I'll have to look.
I'm sure you did. Renly, King Renly, who you've heard of but haven't really seen much. Here is the actor, and you will see him in season 2.
Nice.
There's good old Rob Stark with his Funko Pop. Don't know where he is there. It looks like he's in some foreign country by the looks of it. And then Hodor with the last one. Christian Nairn. Hodor is there. And that brings me to the end of the slides and the end of the meme of the week for season 1. Christian Nairn Hodor was last because he will be the next guest that I probably meet, because he's going to be in Aberdeen Comic-Con. He was just announced. They did a teaser. It was like 6:30 p.m. and they always do the drop at 7, and it was 6:30, and they just posted a picture of a door. And it was like, that's Hodor. That's got to be Hodor. And I commented Hodor, and at 7 o'clock they dropped it. It was Christian Nairn, which is really cool. He's also a famous, or not so much famous, but he's a DJ. So I don't know if they're going to get him to DJ at the after party.
Oh, that'd
afterwards.
Be cool.
Because we had another guy called Charles, I can't remember his second name, but he was in Red Dwarf, and he's a DJ as well, and he DJ'd Wales' one. So it'd be interesting to see if he does that. But I'm going to see Christian Nairn, so that's going to be cool. Maybe we can ask him on stream whether the rumors are true and he really is that big. Maybe we could ask him in a video.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Charles, that's it. We've done it. We've done season 1. It's officially done. People are asking in the chat for more, though. They want tier ranking, character tier rankings. So I think we should give the people what they want, and we'll get together in our own time, and we'll record something, and then we'll upload it as an upload. Instead of going live, we'll do it as an upload. We'll do a tier ranking of our characters. So it'd be very interesting to see where you rank them going forward. Jeremy says, I heard Hodor was dressing as an elephant for Halloween. He already has the trunk.
Okay.
I'm going to bring this comment up when I meet him. I'm going to bring it up and say, is this true? Is this true? Do you have a trunk? Oh, I love it. And we're definitely going to do the suggestion as well of getting you to write some predictions down for the shows. But that's it. Cool. So next week we've got a week off, Charles. You can relax, you can put your feet up, you can rest your voice. But I require you to come back in 2 weeks' time so we can do season 2. In the meantime, though, guys, that doesn't mean it's the end of the content in Game of Thrones wise. I have some videos that I am working on and I have pretty much done. So I want you tomorrow at 12 UK time, there will be a community post going up with 4 options for videos. I would like you guys to vote on which video you would like to see, and that video will drop before the live stream for season 2. Okay? Also, I know I said it's a week off next week, but I might go live next Monday playing the Telltale series Game of Thrones game. I have it downloaded on my PC. It runs pretty smoothly. I can share it within StreamYard. So next Monday, Charles won't be with us, but you might see me live playing a Game of Thrones game on my channel, which will be pretty cool. I probably will do it all in one sitting, the whole game. It's like a 3.5 hour game. So we'll probably do that. Feel better, Charles, says our Maester Jeremy from LSA PC.
Thank
and
you.
He also says buy Milky a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/RyanMilky14.
Yes, definitely go buy him a coffee.
Thank you, Jeremy. But yeah, that's it. So stay tuned. There's more content coming thick and fast as always. I've got Island videos I'm working on. We're also going to be doing Let's Chat tomorrow night with Charles over on his channel, over on Let's Chat with Veterans, where we'll be talking about some awesome veteran charities and organizations and spreading the word to people that need to hear the vital services that are available to them in this day and age.
Yes.
Don't forget, it's also coming to voting season in America. I may live in the UK and I may live thousands of miles over the sea, but what happens in American politics is very, very important and vital to what happens to my chances of being able to become an American one day. So I would please urge every single person that's watching this to go and vote. Just go and vote. That's all I ask you to do is go and vote, and please like the stream if you can. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Please also subscribe to Poppin over at Poppin Missouri or Poppin in the Show Me State. I have been Ryan, your wonderful host for the Game of Thrones Season 1 breakdowns. This has been our lore and history breakdown and Meme of the Week Season 1. Without further ado, for the good of the realm. Join us this Friday at LSAPC's channel, 8 p.m. Central. It's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be fun. But guys, thank you very much. I love you. Charles loves you. The council love you. We will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.